You know, Pokemon and I have a rough but nostalgic history. I had a copy of Pokemon Red and Blue as a kid, and I always found the game too difficult to play. Because of that, I always fell back on the anime, something that will forever hold a soft spot in my heart. After several attempts to get back into the Pokemon series, I was ready to throw in the towel. Will Pokemon Scarlet be the savior to a series I'm ready to abandon? Hi, I'm Club, and welcome to Club's Hub. Man, if only Game Freak took this kind of pacing when making the actual game. Let's start by talking about ye old Pokemon tradition. You see, the Pokemon Company has this firm stick up their butt about how many games should be coming out. Ever since Pokemon Red and Blue, there's been a new Pokemon game every single year. Now granted, they're not all mainline titles, but there's usually about 2 or 3 years difference between mainline titles, which isn't a ton of time. Because of that, these games usually suffer from a ton of problems. But the Pokemon Company doesn't care. Why would they when you're going to buy the next copy of Pokemon Pikachu Goes to School because it has the words Pokemon and Pikachu in it? Basically what I'm saying is, as long as it's profitable, there's no slowdown on Pokemon content. I mean, look at this. As of 2021, Pokemon was the #1 highest grossing media franchise in the world with over $100 billion. I just wish they'd give the game another year to at least fix these stupid outfits. Look at how stupid I am. I look like a baby who should be wearing a bib getting spoon-fed mush. There's gotta be a setting around here somewhere to change it. Holy cow, the map is huge! Yes, this is the first mainline Pokemon game, sorry Arceus, that's open world. And you're given free reign to explore this world however you see fit. There are raid battles you can participate in, towns you can explore, towers to climb, Pokemon to catch out in the wild, and of course, trainers to fight. Oh, good show, young man. You right properly kicked my ass. As soon as you start the game, you get to choose your starter Pokemon, per the norm. We have the fire type, Fuecoco. If you think for a second I'm going to pronounce these right, you're sorely mistaken. The water type Quaxley, and my pick for the game, the grass type Sprigatito. Give it your best out there, little buddy. This is probably a fantastic time to talk about the performance, huh? This game runs and looks like the embodiment of sin. Look at this! You think this is okay? You think this is optimal? I mean, I guess it technically is, but I mean, like, look, this is crazy! Because when this part isn't in cutscene mode, everything runs great! Like, what? There are tons of moments like this where it's all moving at what feels like a frame a second. Or you may be in like a field or something and your game will be running at like, I don't know, 30-ish frames to dropping to like 10. It also doesn't help that it looks like somebody took the game's textures and ran it through a meat grinder. What is this? Everything's so ugly and unfinished. Why is it all so pixelated? Look at all these shots I got on top of high places. Everything is so bland and boring. It's completely lifeless. Comparing this second Pokemon game on the Switch, which by the way came out in late 2022, to all these different games on the Switch just breaks my heart. Games like Luigi's Mansion 3, Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, heck, even Breath of the Wild. I mean, granted, Breath of the Wild also has its fair share of performance issues, but look at these landscapes compared to Pokemon. They're so full of life and running smoothly. Why does this game look so bad? You know what else Breath of the Wild has?
May I ask, do you really remember me?
Voice acting. They did such a great job animating these characters, but you're telling me a multi-billion-dollar company couldn't afford some voice acting? A game, say like, I don't know, Hades, an indie game, has every single line of dialogue voiced, mostly by developers as well. And something like Pokemon can't do that? I guess it's not a matter of can't, but a matter of won't. And y'all can brain out the pitchforks on this one, but I'm putting my foot down. Just listen to how much better this sounds.
What's the matter with it?
Scared of heights. That's what I'd say.
Well, no wonder. But no need to be scared if we go together.
Oh!
How does that logic work?
Get on!
You couldn't do that? That too much for you? And why are we still using these boring animations? The Pokemon aren't even touching each other. This is just beyond lazy, and they do this all the time. Pokemon Arceus at least tried. Why couldn't this one? Why does everything in this game just ooze off, "Here at Pokemon, we want money"? Everything just feels so rushed. Why is it that for every single fight, I can just kill everything in one hit? I've been dominating all the gym battles with one move. It wasn't even effective against that type right there, and I still killed it in one hit. I was watching your battle with the gym leader from the sidelines, and I must say, I thought it was simply excellent. Full marks, gold star, extra credit even. That relenting offensive, that flurry of attacks, what an efficient way to corner the opponent. And what awfully trained Pokemon, such a vibrant palette of moves. Thanks, Hassel, except you missed the part where I just used the same move over and over again. But you can play with friends. 10 out of 10, game of the year, Nobel Prize, click that bell to get notifications. Seriously, the moment I realized you could play this game with friends, it made the experience so much better for me. I know I ragged on the game pretty hard up to this point, but if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I'd be lying if I didn't say I had a good time. While from afar the game can look pretty barren, the world is actually pretty fun to explore. It really helps that random encounters are no more, a welcome change to the series, as I find random encounters to be an outdated form of engaging with enemies. However, I do feel the need to add that I do appreciate random encounters from more retro games, since back then they were limited to sorry, I'm rambling a bit, so I feel like this conversation could be saved for another video. Back on exploring the world, I also appreciate that fighting other trainers is completely optional, but if you do decide to partake in stomping out little Timmy's dreams, you're rewarded for your efforts. On top of that, the overall world is an absolute joy to run around in, especially if you like collecting Pokemon like I do, or have a few friends you can goof off with in the world together. Like in one corner of the world, your buddy can be deleting a puppy from the game with his legendary, while you're simultaneously completing main story missions. Speaking of story, it's quite honestly one of the biggest highlights of this game. The characters are just so much fun and full of life. They cause me to become so engrossed in each of their individual story paths. Right. Story paths. You see, the game breaks the story up into 3 different story paths. Victory Road, where you roll olives or something to prove you can fight for a gym badge. Path of Legends, where you make sandwiches to give to your dog bike dog. And Starfall Street, where you take down a band of students that have formed an organization against the school because they're too cool for homework or tests or I don't know, math or something. Jokes aside, the structure of this story is amazing and in my opinion, executed 100% perfectly. I would go as far as saying they even handled it better than Breath of the Wild, where in that game, most of the story came from the memories, and since you could get them in any order, the story always felt so disjointed. Whereas in this game, regardless of what order you do any of the paths in, the story will stay consistent and in order every time. Because of that, you end up with a contained story absent of any disjointedness that concludes with a satisfactory ending, which, by the way, if you do all of the paths, you can get an even better ending that I highly recommend you go after. It's well worth your time. I feel like these story beats are heightened even further by the music in this game. Hot damn, the music is so good! Listen to the bass line in this one song alone. Why does this song go so hard for simply wild Pokemon music? That man is straight up schmoovin'. I want to go back to the visuals for a second. Remember earlier when I talked about how ugly this game is? While that's still true for about 70% of the game, there are genuine moments where this game looks beautiful, just straight up gorgeous. Why then? Why do they feel the need to rush these games? I feel like if they just take their time to make a truly spectacular game, that we would have a spectacular Pokemon experience. It's a shame that we get these half-baked games because I feel like we're getting so close every time, but just can't reach the top that I know these games could be. It doesn't help that the Pokemon tradition of releasing a new game every year will probably never change. Because of that, I feel like we'll forever be stuck in a decent Pokemon game purgatory, where we'll never get that perfect Pokemon game. Regardless of this game not being perfect, it's still pretty good. It may be ugly as sin, but much like sin, it's pretty damn fun. Wait, I'm so sorry! But where does this game sit on my ranking? Let's give the wheel a big ol' spin and see where it lands. that's weird. Usually this thing spits out a number, but it didn't. Oh, I know. It's because I haven't made my ranking video yet. Well, usually at the end of one of these bit-picking videos, I'd show you guys where this game's set on my ranking wheel. But since I haven't even explained how my ranking works, I guess you'll have to wait till next week's video, where I go through every game I played in 2022 and meticulously rank all 65 of them. Yeah, it's gonna be a chore. Well, either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what game I should cover next. See you next week, and I hope you continue to have a chill day.